is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 730, Ant-Man
3.
Beatlemania.
Hey. It's a different movie.
It's Ant-Man and Wasp Beatlemania.
Oh,
You can't just
sorry.
erase the woman in the title.
I think
Come
it's
on.
Janet Van Dyne and everybody else in this movie.
Okay. So,
Is she a wasp?
She was
Right?
the original
See?
Wasp.
So
yeah.
she's, I mean,
Yeah.
technically, so it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. I didn't say which one.
That's true. That's a good
Didn't
point.
say which one.
let's go around the table and everyone can introduce themselves.
This is Joe.
This is Kevin.
And this is Tom. And Matt Basler is returning to
It's me.
discuss. We made him watch every MCU property before being
Actually,
on the show.
I asked him to read every Marvel comic.
Oh, dang.
Before
I'm caught up. Yeah, I'm excited to talk
1964.
about it. Excited to talk about the differences and. I guess when Hank slapped that lady, right? I think that's the only thing you talk about when you talk about Ant-Man comics.
The
so.
the original Hank. Yeah, he's a little problematic.
So, shameless plugs before we get into all that. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's always appreciated. You can also find us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It's called the League of Show Sharers because we're hoping you will share an episode. It's just the easiest, simplest thing you can do to help the show out. People who were kind enough to share an episode this week include Librarian Cynthia, Tammy Lynn Powers Betts, Gabriel Lugo, Chris Sanders, Chris Magic Man, Chris Vols,
the trifecta.
Chris Trifecta 2 weeks in a row, Phil Timon, Julian Jordan, Dissect That Film, Josh Rosen, Brent Smith, Heather Sachs, Chris Williams, Invasion of the Remake, Colby Mack, Ryan Terry from the Forza Crowd podcast, Brick Foes, I guess is how you say that.
All right.
People in your Twitter names. Megan Kearns, Ronnie Castle, David Rojas, Batman Rye Guy, Manic Pixie Weirdo Podcast, Spoiler Piece Theater, Nostalgia Cast, Mike, and Oscar, Matt Naglia, In Session Film, Geek to Me Radio, and Feelin' Film. So thank you very much for sharing an episode. We greatly appreciate it. We also have a Patreon. I don't know if you know about that or not, Matt, but we have a Patreon.
My podcast?
Well, why don't you explain it?
So, me and Joe host a podcast called Real Spoilers Patreon.
Correct. Yes.
It's a
Good
horror
name.
movie podcast exclusively. That's all we ever talk
Can
about.
tell.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I don't know.
My Bloody Valentine.
Okay, we're still getting our
Yeah.
Getting the
extreme
holidays.
head start
Yep.
on the holidays,
Yes.
on Christmas.
Next episode is going to be Violent Night, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Matt loved it.
Well, and it's you go to patreon.com/real spoilers.
with 2 E's? You still spell it that way?
Yeah, there's one in real, one in spoilers.
Okay.
It's three.
Yeah,
actually.
right.
Oh, sorry.
Gosh, and it's just great. It's not directly affiliated with this podcast, but thank you for bringing up. Thank you for letting me do
Yeah.
a plug for me in the very beginning. That's cool.
No problem.
We figure people are going to bail pretty early.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. they're
Especially when we
gonna-
start talking about all the multiverses and
Oh, man.
kings.
Do you think they'll go, oh, it's a Marvel movie. Got it.
Yeah.
Check.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen these before.
I've seen these. Yeah, right. I know how they work.
What else can you say at
Pretty-
this point?
Pretty lights, punching.
Boom.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Teaser for the next one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else? No, that's it.
No.
Oh, YouTube. You can see these on
Oh, yeah.
YouTube. I don't know if you know that or not. So when I hate a movie, you can see my face
I
get
was
all
like,
red.
well, man, I just looked at the camera.
It's like a tomato.
So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
I didn't like. Okay,
This movie's fine.
I think this movie is a lot of fun.
Like is this top tier Marvel? No. But like when people are dragging this, like
I don't get it.
there's nothing wrong with this movie. It's
Honestly,
fine.
it to me it oddly feels like the first Iron Man, in that that first movie sets your tone for the next up until the Avengers, right? So this kind of feels the same way, where it's like we haven't been floundering, but there has been this weird period, like post Endgame, little post Spider-Man, that they were trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like Love and Thunder wasn't very good. The Mouth of Madness was fine. Like, it was fun. It was good. But to me, this feels like, okay, we're back on track, like, of telling us a story, but we're also moving forward, where the first Iron Man kind of felt the same way. So it feels like the first Iron Man, and now we're going forward with wherever we're going from here.
I think the first Iron Man had good writing. And
That's true.
The first Iron Man had practical sets.
Also true.
This movie feels like it's all filmed in one room with a green screen, because I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're
just-
in the quantum verse. I mean, how else are you going to do that?
It's very hard in this film to feel like you have any sense of geography. It's just a lot of, especially when they're close-ups and they're just like flying through things, and there's something about this film, and I thought it was okay. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it, and I think a lot of it is because it just felt, I don't know, it just felt kind of flat. Again, I think that they're all just, Marvel's depending too much on that round thing that they all film in, and it all feels fake. I want
That
some
round
practical
thing?
sets. Yeah, they do the 360 degree, the vision or whatever they call that thing.
Oh.
WandaVision?
Yeah.
There it is.
And so when I was watching it, it just kind of felt like there wasn't a lot of tangible stuff, and no knock to the visual artists, because I mean, there's some really weird, wacky stuff, and I thought they were very creative and they looked cool, but the film also didn't feel like it had a firm footing anywhere. It's
a little more overtime for the VFX artists would have done it.
I think they should maybe build a couple practical sets and do some CG around
I think that depends on the story.
I think they shouldn't set their whole movie in the quantum verse.
Oh,
That's fair.
that's the main problem.
It's-
Once they went there,
the quantum verse is Florida, right?
Okay.
It's a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there.
Sure.
Well, the beginning of the movie, old Scott walking around, being a goofy guy,
great.
eating with his family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this I like.
That's
Right,
what I'm
great.
saying. I'm like, I love that it's silly, and him walking around and signing stuff, whatever. I'm like, this is great. And then when they went to the quantum verse, and again, I didn't
Quantum realm.
Okay. And I didn't.
Sure.
Calm down.
I avoided all trailers. So
Okay,
I didn't,
nerd.
Yeah, I know.
some
Scratching my neck beard while I was happening.
I always try to not watch trailers. Sometimes I'm in a theater and I catch one of. I saw no trailers for this, right?
You really saw nothing from
I
this?
saw nothing from this.
Okay.
So when we went in there, I'm like, damn, we're spending the whole movie in this place, aren't we? I'm
I
like,
gotta tell, like, it
it's
does
just,
that did not. This also feels like 70s Marvel, like 70s Marvel comics, where they were just
It seems like the most, what do they call it? Not solar. Where they're out in outer space.
Cosmic?
Yeah.
Like the vibe of it, the look of it is
Very
the most
much
like
so.
cosmic thing they've done. But it's actually very small.
if you didn't know.
We're not big and out in space.
But it
We're
does,
very
like
Can't
there-
say inner space, because that's
it did get a trailer for
already
that
been used.
when I was at the draft house.
Oh, there you go.
Space verse.
They didn't show
It's
you
part of
knock
the
at the cabin door part 3.
Matt, Space Realm.
Sorry.
Get it together. But it like there's a run in 70s Marvel comics where they were just going for it. Whatever they could try, they were trying it.
It's because they were hot.
Also correct. You're not wrong.
They were tripping balls.
Yeah, and it shows. And some
Yes.
of it's and there's the Doctor Strange stuff.
Somebody
Is
at the printer
bonkers.
was like, "We bought too much purple ink.
Kev, I got a story
If
for
you
you.
can use a lot of red and purple, we can save you 3 cents a copy."
Let me make a comparison here. I think this is the problem. I
No.
had. No, please?
right.
Please. Okay, thank
Fine.
you. Sorry, I
Okay.
forgot I had to
All
use the magic word. So, Avatar all takes place in another universe with planets and stuff, and that's amazing. You feel like you're sucked into that world and you're a part of
Visually.
it. And yeah, I mean,
It
but,
never feels tangible to me.
okay, but okay.
Do you think
well,
it feels more tangible than this?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Oh my. Okay, so so we're on opposite ends there.
Well, and I think because like those are, it's like, I know none of it's real.
Sure.
Right. Just a spoiler. but like it's supposed to actually be a tree or a rock. It's just like an avatar rock.
Right.
Whatever that planet's called.
Pandora.
Unobtainium.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. The planet of Spotify. this is a rock.
Yeah.
Right. And where the quantum realm, like, none of it's real.
Yeah.
So, like, I think I can, and psychologically, I can give it a wider berth because I'm like, it's not supposed to have a physical, tactile existence in
That's fair.
quite the same way that Pandora is supposed
Do you
to.
think?
Rarely.
Perhaps not. But this movie, right, it's got the vibe of, like, we go to this other place that isn't our world and doesn't really affect us. And I know, like, Kang's gonna bust out of there or whatever. But it's like a Flight of the Navigator situation where at the end of the movie,
Wow.
nothing has changed.
Yeah, the stakes are very low, and I was going to actually make the same point that, like, by setting it in the quantum realm,
Thank you.
Joe,
Thank you very much.
it just kind of feels like ultimately, like, none of this matters.
Right.
Like, when they're
If
like,
Kang gets out, it matters, but
Right.
it doesn't. So you've effectively, if you never watched this movie and never knew there was a quantum realm or a
Right.
Kang there, you wouldn't know if he got out or didn't. It would have no effect on the MCU.
right. And so when
That's
they're like, oh, you were to Janet, they were like, you were here, and then you left and forgot about us. And it's like, yeah.
None of us knew.
I went home.
Yeah, because you're like, it's like Horton Hears a Who, man. Like, nobody cares. You're a little tiny.
Insignificant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And I think that's
totally
ultimately
fair.
the problem. Is I watched it and it was entertaining, but by the end, since he didn't get out, now I get it. If he got out, then the repercussions
Well, there's the
would go everywhere.
issue, right? Like, this version of Kang doesn't get out. He dies, basically. Well, we think he dies. But
I don't
He's
think he
reborn.
does.
He's reborn.
But there's like an infinite number.
yeah,
of
that's the
them.
problem.
When he dies, another one gets reborn.
Correct.
So.
And then there is just an infinite number of Kangs.
Yeah.
Now, do you know who Kang's relative is?
Reed Richards.
His relative, he is a descendant of Reed Richards, which his name is Nathan Richards. So, I mean, this does open the door for the Fantastic Four,
Right.
At some point, I don't, whatever they're gonna do with that. I think we've all said that, like, set that in the '60s and then zip them at the end of that movie to
to the present day.
well, not even. Let's like put them in the quantum realm or something where they
Right.
get stuck.
I think it was the.
So does
wasn't
that
the-
mean we get a black Reed Richards?
Well, I mean,
I'm getting on the message board right now.
the
I mean,
is an
I'm sure there's a
outrage.
ways around that.
the
certainly,
rumor for
but
a while it
was that
was
Cheetah would be.
yeah, it
But
was gonna-
clearly not.
clearly not.
But I guess if you're playing in the multiverse, maybe they can say. But this does certainly seem like it
to
would
me,
not happen,
to me,
right?
if you're casting Krasinski as the alternate Reed Richards,
Right.
I think he's probably going to be your Reed Richards.
You think they always look like Krasinski?
I mean, we
Just
know
like
that's
Kang always looks
I was
like.
gonna, but he
Jonathan
doesn't though.
Majors.
Like he does. That's true.
Well,
he has like
always looks
features
like Jonathan
of Jonathan
Majors.
Majors.
Yeah,
They all
it
different.
is him,
whatever.
literally. Yeah.
So I have a feeling that Krasinski is going to be Reed Richards.
I am kind of bummed that they wasted William Jackson Harper
Yeah.
on that.
That is a big waste.
And it was
He's
cool
great.
to see him, but you're right. Like they were talking about, people were rumoring Reed Richards, and it's like, well, that's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have been a massive. So, but I mean, he's
I think
Kang is pretty far down like the Richards lineage.
I think is
So,
the King Tut
gotcha.
one.
The
is
King Tut one
the Richards-
is the original Nathan Richards.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The guy that we see at the second post credit sequence becomes the King Tut one. He's the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could explain it that way.
Yeah.
Or
Well, we'll get there, but I have a different theory for the post credits.
Which one? Both of them, or just the one?
The second one. That you're talking about.
Okay. So like Matt said, is this movie kicks off with we've got Scott and we're post blip and everything's he's living a pretty decent life, right? He's got his daughters back and played by a different actress this time. This is the gal from Freaky, I think. She was the lead.
Oh, was she?
I think she was the
Okay.
lead in Freaky, which was also
Kevin
very
James.
good. Yes, Kevin James. It was Vince Vaughn.
Sorry,
You're thinking of the other one.
the other one.
Yeah, where Kevin James does play a serial killer.
Kathryn Newton is the actor's name.
Yes, which was God, I kind of feel bad for the gal that was in.
Yeah.
that
I'm
was
in a Marvel
Endgame.
movie.
Like,
Oh.
never mind.
But Kathryn Newton's really good, and I think what they're doing is setting up for the Young Avengers.
Oh, she's
so
she's
when you're
stature.
gonna have Hawkeye and
Yeah.
I guess they're looking for someone. I mean, no offense to the other gal, I didn't think she was bad or anything, but they're thinking long term, and I guess they just
Well, they've
figured-
introduced almost all of them. So the Patriot was in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. He was the grandson, I think, or the great grandson of Isaiah Bradley. You've got the twins.
Ugh.
You're a big fan of the twins?
Oh, get him out of here.
Guess what? They become main parts of that team.
I believe I'm on record as disgusted with them.
Then you've got Cassie, who's Stature. You've got Kate Bishop. The only one you're missing is there's Iron Lad, who is a Kang, who becomes Kang at one point. And there's a couple other ones that kind of like pop in and out of it. But that Young Avengers team is there.
Yeah.
Like they've got it.
So
ready
I
to
think
go.
that's why they wanted to cast someone, lock them into a long-term contract, and whatever they're looking for, I guess she filled the role. And I thought she was really good in this.
No,
I
that
thought
she was
held
great.
her own with Paul Rudd comedically. I thought she was really good.
I like what she's like, it's the Bumblebee guy. Yeah. We're just going to get that out of the way. The MODOK thing, I thought was great.
The MODOK thing was great. The MODOK thing looked terrible.
I think it okay.
Looked horrible. I mean, as weird as MODOK is in any form.
I don't know how you make MODOK.
That's what I'm saying.
It's so creepy to look at.
Are you sure it looked bad? Or is it just a thing where you can't make a big head?
But they do it in different forms of animation, and I'm saying
that's the difference.
Yeah.
I think seeing it in real life,
But
quote unquote.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's a very challenging. I think I maybe would have liked more practical effects than a CG stretched head.
Then
Like,
you want to cut off Darren Chris's head, or not?
but I
Darren,
think you
Darren
could have
Cross.
you could have used a prosthetic around his head and still enlarged it. But it looked very CG. It looked like they photoshopped out a head
That's
and
fair.
put it on a floating thing.
I don't disagree
just
with
mean I
that.
think it was handled very bad. I don't think it's necessarily the design, and it definitely wasn't him, and he was funny. But it looked so cheap the way they did it.
There are moments in these Marvel movies as a comic fan where it's just like, I cannot believe I am looking at MODOK.
I mean, props to
on
them
the screen.
for doing
Like, this
that.
is insane.
This is, I think, the weirdest Marvel movie.
I don't think you're wrong.
And I love the weirdness about it. So, like, all my other complaints don't have to do with the weirdness. And this is written by a Rick and Morty writer.
which makes total
So
sense.
this movie is a Rick and Morty episode. I mean, if you look at Rick and Morty and how they go to all these alien planets and
Yeah.
there's weird
Alternate
aliens
dimensions.
doing weird stuff, and Rick is time traveling. There's a citadel of Ricks, which is the Council of Kangs.
when
I mean,
you get to the little blobby monster, like that's
Oh, yeah.
right
this,
out of Rick and
like
Morty.
this Rick and Morty writer just came out and used Rick and Morty story for.
Like, do I have a script I haven't used yet? Oh, I got one.
Which I'm sure they pulled stuff from Marvel. I'm not saying they don't all share, but it's like this is so similar to a Rick and Morty storyline. It feels almost like a live action Rick and Morty because I mean, sole writer is a Rick and Morty writer.
Is he a
Jeff
guy,
Loveness?
is he a guy that has written multiple episodes?
Oh yeah, like
Okay.
6 or 7, and
Okay,
really
okay.
good ones.
Well, that show's over. Well, maybe not.
No,
I guess we'll find
it's not
out.
over.
So they'll find somebody.
Yeah.
As
I
long
mean-
as there's drug paraphernalia out there, Rick
just-
and Morty will survive.
For the record, apparently Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, they co-created the show, but since season 1, Justin Roiland hasn't been involved in the creative.
Oh, is that right?
He does his recording of voices from home. He doesn't go to writers' meetings. He doesn't meet with them. He's so distanced from it. So he was just, I know that he's a lot of voices in the main two, but he's basically a voice actor. So like that
got
show
ya.
will not change. They have a team of talented writers.
Sure.
Dan Harmon's the creative. He does the after the episode interviews. Like Roiland is never involved with that stuff. So he was just a voice actor. So
Good,
he's
good.
gone, whatever.
Screw that guy.
And the show literally will not change other than voices. And there's a guy that does voices that everyone's rooting for that sounds just like them. So
Yeah, it's
hire-
Matt F. Bowsler.
was that you?
Yeah. Hold on. Burp, it's me, Rick.
Oh my gosh.
Morty, we gotta get to the quantum. It's
Realm.
Realm. See, so
See?
basically, it'll be
in
fine.
Yeah, it's in the bag.
Don't
Okay.
even worry about it.
I've never watched one episode.
It's pretty
of that
great.
show.
You've never seen Rick and Morty?
It's really funny.
It's a really funny show.
yeah, it's really funny. You should check it out.
It looks dumb every time someone quotes from it. It sounds dumb.
It's very funny, and it
80% of the time, the people who are quoting from it
Yeah.
are dumb.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm just like, I think I'm good.
It's very clever. The writing, again, they've got a team of writers that the way that the story all interweaves into all these weird things in different dimensions, and it is fun.
One of the guys wrote Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh,
yeah,
dang.
yeah, if
that
you
totally
like
makes
this.
sense. I didn't think, yeah, once you watch them both back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything is kind of, Scott is okay. He's not, there's no real threat right now, so he's just kind of living his life. He wrote a book.
and he's a very minor Avenger.
He is a
so
very
he doesn't
minor.
get called upon frequently.
No,
the
he does
smallest
not.
Avenger.
He is the smallest Avenger
And the largest,
and also the largest.
depending on how cold it is.
Correct. Which way the dial goes.
Yeah.
I think he uses a little thing in his. Man,
It's a boop.
I don't think weather has.
It's a thermometer. He's checking the weather. He's
See,
checking the
that's
weather.
why it's either red or blue.
So you got to read
See?
the comics to
That's
know about
right.
these powers.
That's right.
It's a little Easter egg. cool
Yeah.
for the kids.
Are you red pilling us right now?
Oh God, no! Don't say that. But life is kind of mundane. Hope has taken over Pym Industries and transformed it.
It's like Pim Van Dyne Industries now.
You know, and it is kind
the
of.
irony of her running a
I
science
was
company.
brother. I got to tell you that she's not in this movie a lot, and I think there's a reason.
Yeah.
It was hard. Every time you see her, you're just like, oh,
I
it's
wonder
hard.
how much they're going to cut Zachary Levi out of Shazam. 'Cause
I don't think so.
I don't think what he was saying
I don't think it
had
was-
anything to do with the COVID.
I think it got taken out of
Everyone
context.
presumed that,
Yeah.
and he's like on record for a lot of times in the past talking about how pharmaceutical industries control the prices of things like insulin and all that.
Right.
Everyone hates pharmaceutical industries for that, but he said it, and everyone goes, "Oh my God, the vaccine!" But it's like he didn't say vaccine.
Right.
He said, "I think that
Pharmaceutical
Pfizer's a problem because
Right.
of," and that's all he said. So
I think it got well. It doesn't
and James
help
Gunn handled that masterfully.
Yeah.
I
He's
gotta
like,
tell
if
ya.
I disagreed with something that someone said, I'd have no cast. Like, I can't. I'm here to, based on their performance and whatever, and like
based on how many criminal charges they have against them. Do we need to get this movie
But
out?
like, I mean, I love the
please?
way he's handling stuff. If you hear the way James Gunn responds to a lot of the crazies and other criticisms, it's like.
doesn't help or doesn't hurt that he had his own stuff to deal with and had
Sure.
to handle it a certain way. So,
But he's
a little-
really good at dealing
Yeah.
with people. He shuts them down quick. He's good at what he does, and I think he has really good answers.
Here's Ezra's charge sheet. Can you explain that, please? No,
They were crazy.
But they are getting help, apparently.
I bet they are.
James Gunn said, I mean, you haven't heard
Until
about them.
And because they're locked in a room somewhere. Like they're
Shut them down.
But Gunn basically said, like, it doesn't excuse their actions, but Gunn said they're getting help, and after that's all done, we'll see where we stand. But
We'll recast them.
yeah, and since Gunn took over, they've filmed different endings and stuff for Flash, so clearly,
Oh, did they really?
things are going to change.
Interesting.
Like they came in and they've got an idea. Obviously, it all has to flow into wherever they're going with this.
It is funny they came out with the new Champion of Shazam comic that has Mary Marvel as the lead, and I was like, bye Zach. Like, that's what that is. Yeah. So, but his life is very mundane. Janet is doing his thing, her thing, and not Janet. Hope is doing, and life is okay.
Cassie is trying to make a difference, though, where she sees their dad pretty much retired because he wants to be a family man, but she's like, you've got all this potential to change the world, and you're wasting it away. You're writing a book,
Right.
you're not helping people. And so she's protesting, and her grandpa is giving her some technology, like she shrunk a cop car to protest.
That I think was a hilarious little button to that of Scott getting Cassie out of jail,
Yeah.
and the cop's like, "Give me that back." She's like,
I don't know
what you're talking
I
about.
found this.
And she's like puts the cop car on
Looks
a
like a
little
Hot
cop-
Wheels,
a
but
little
it's
toy.
Yeah, she shrunk it.
So it is interesting. The first one was supposed to be written and directed by Edgar Wright, and there's a lot of Edgar Wright fingerprints on that first movie, where I feel like that has kind of carried over from each one. Like there's definitely bits and pieces where you're like, well, that's kind of like an Edgar Wright gag. Like the MIDI car
Yeah.
is an Edgar Wright gag, which I think is interesting. And because I think that was in development before Iron Man.
Was in it for a
Right.
long time. He was attached to it for like a decade before all that, and then it fell apart.
And then Adam
yeah.
McKay was attached at one point, and then
And then Peyton Reed's done all of them.
I mean, it's interesting. We've talked about the Moneyball thing, but like the guy that did the Spider-Man movies was another guy who had one film under his belt, like Cop Car, I think was with Kevin Bacon, and then he just made these 3 massive movies that were huge successes, and he's like, yeah, I'll just stick around here in the Marvel world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do the Fantastic Four after this. I don't know, I'm good.
What's the timeline here? How far after Endgame is Ant-Man?
So people blipped for 5 years, right?
Yeah, that's
Right.
what they say.
Okay,
It's what they want you to think.
that's right. So there is.
Do they ever show a year in this one?
They don't, but I'm like I have to believe that they would reference like that Doctor Strange thing happens in the middle of New York City.
I think that's step back for a second, and because I have no idea what the answer to that is. I have as much as I don't know the geography of the quantum realm. I was getting there. I was saying it very slow. I don't know the timeline of when movies take place, and I think this is the first movie where I just step back and I'm like, this is getting convoluted.
Well,
I think
you mean like a timeline? You mean?
yeah, I think this is the most convoluted of.
I mean, they're recreating the problem the comics had
Right.
in the
It is
80s,
true.
which was like I mean, DC had it with like, oh no, that's Earth 37, and Marvel had it. It was just, it became such a soap opera. The stories threaded through so many. I mean,
Right.
It was like every other panel had an asterisk that
Yeah,
was
go
like,
read
see this other comic book
Right.
issue and number, and then if you did try to go see it, it's like, oh, that's $75.
Watching this,
Yeah.
watching this, my thought was, as cool as this feels the most like the comics. This is starting to feel like comics. And I think that it's getting so convoluted with what you have to watch. I've never been one of those people because I watch all this stuff, but I've seen all this stuff and I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my gosh, like my head's starting to hurt trying to figure out the Kang thing and the TVA and all this.
But the TV, but that's a 5-second, 10-second scene at the end of the movie.
No, but I mean, but the implications of what the TVA is doing and why Kang's doing what he's doing and what it means for all these other universes and how they tie in. Like, I think that it's just the story's getting so convoluted with all these different crossovers. It's not just bad guy, Avengers assemble now. Now it's like the time works differently. So I'm this Kang and I did this over here. And then my Kang that's reincarnated started the TVA and now we're on this. It's just like, it's hard to go to a movie and watch that and be like, oh, this is entertaining. You're just like, what the hell is going on here?
I think when you start, so yes, that is very much a comic book thing where you go to panel, you're like, if you want to see where Spider-Man got that suit, go to ASM 300 or whatever. Don't, because you're never going to afford it right now. But I think where they're going to run into an issue is when they start doing the multiverse, like, which we're already doing. We've already got it. That is where you're going to have like, wait, who's that person? Like, why is Peggy Carter in that suit? Or I thought that was Captain Marvel's friend. Like, I don't know what we're doing. That I think is the issue. I don't really have as much of a problem with other characters dropping in and out. Right?
I don't think anything about Thanos was confusing. Did you guys ever feel confused
No,
about
because
Thanos?
so this is what
right?
this is what I mean is like,
and it worked really well building up to Thanos.
But we knew we were building the Thanos, right?
Yeah.
Now I don't think we're building to Kang. I think we're building to Galactus. Like, that's where I think we're going to end up.
There's an awful lot of Kang in these shows and movies to not be.
That's true, but I think Galactus is going to be like, when you start getting into the Fantastic Four and
I feel like
Silver
this
Surfer.
phase we're going to get a lot of Kang, and then maybe it's Galactus, but then but at some point
That's
too,
true.
like, but then what?
Doctor Doom.
I have a feeling they're
But
built.
there's a finite number of things,
Of big
like that.
things.
Yeah,
Like
big,
it's Kang when he's talking about the big thing that's going to happen.
That's what I think
Like,
is
you think
Galactus.
that's-
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think they're building to Kang. But
I think
see.
Kang-
I think this
I-
is so much planting that if they then make, I'm like, oh no, there's just this other thing like they built the Thanos for a long time. I think this is them building to Kang.
I think it's Kang and the High Evolutionary. I think those
Yeah.
are the two, because that the High Evolutionary is in Guardians 3. Spoilers. Sorry.
thanks.
All right. I didn't tell you what he was.
It's
But,
in the trailers.
Oh,
right.
had to dodge that one as soon as that started playing. I'm like, phone, don't think about it. I just like.
but I think I think you're probably right. I think this phase the multiverse will be Kang, but I think the next one where we're going is going to be Thanos, or not Thanos, but Galactus.
Whoa.
I know. Like, we went back around.
That's great. I did not expect that. Well, I ask because if Scott saved the world 2 years ago, cut him some freaking slack.
I know.
And what's wrong with writing a book? And he's reading to children. I just
Yeah, Dad, we know you told us you saved the world. It's like, yeah, that's kind of, he's a humble dude about it too, but like he
I
did save
saved the world.
I know. I was like,
I-
they're mean to
But I mean, no matter what your
You do,
parents
right.
do,
Right.
it's lame.
Oh, for sure. But,
but Hank Pym is a jerk.
Hank
too.
and Janet hop
I-
in.
all I can think about during that scene is my son was really into Guitar Hero, and he would always play as Zach Wilde,
Okay.
right? And so one day I noticed like he only ever plays as Zach Wilde, and I was like, "Hey Brian, come here, let me show you something." I go to my Facebook page and I pull up a picture of me and Zach Wilde, thinking he's gonna think that's the
Yeah.
coolest thing in the world,
Right.
And he's just like, "Oh, okay." Like,
Totally.
I guess it's the
There's
guy
no-
on the game.
I get the kid thing. Like,
you
like
will never impress your children. The
actors
old-
talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Where who was it that said like, my kid thought I worked at
Paul
the movie-
Rudd.
Did he say that?
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah, he's like, my kids thought I worked at a
At the
movie
movie theater,
and
like-
so I just let them think
Yeah.
it, which is a very Paul Rudd thing.
Yeah.
But like, there's nothing you can do that will. The only time your children will ever be impressed with you is when you're dead. And then they will look back at all the things, and then they'll be like,
Man.
oh, that was kind of cool.
He took a picture with Zach Wilde.
All right, now I'm gonna go play guitar.
As Zach Wilde.
As
Now
somebody else now. 'Cause
Yeah. Now
my dad's friend.
I tear up every time I play guitar.
But I get it. But I know what you mean, and it is just a humorous thing. But also, I was just in the back of my head, I'm like, man, that's kind of mean because
He literally punched a space dragon
Yeah.
in the face, and knocked it
and-
down.
And then I think this movie starts to sort of abruptly, like, hey, look, I built the thing. Whoa, we're getting sucked in, and
I
here's
know,
the movie.
and then we were there.
in a movie, like, I want to know, and I guess the answer is no, they can't. But could Marvel do an Ant-Man movie or something that isn't an action movie at all? And the whole movie is about perhaps Scott recognizing I haven't done anything.
Oh man, a character driven.
Right.
Yeah,
and
wouldn't that
like
be
Yeah, it
he's
was called-
using
it was-
his powers.
It was
he's
called the
doing-
Eternals, and they dropped the ball.
Yeah.
I love Eternals.
I
know you
didn't
did.
see it,
I know.
so
You,
I guess,
you missed nothing.
I love it.
It's
you missed it.
awful.
No, great.
I guess they
you
tested
would
it. And,
still be asleep.
One of the
And-
best Marvel movies.
No, that's
Oh
just a
my
ridiculous
goodness.
statement.
Love it.
But that's
Love it.
But
Oh,
anyway,
I loved it 1,000 times more than this. I would watch Eternals
Oh, no way.
20
No
times
way.
before this.
No,
Oh,
this is
Yep,
this kicks the out of the Eternals.
Yeah.
But
Just saying.
but I think what you're responding to is them trying to correct from the piece of that was the Eternals. Is that they were like it was 2 hours and 40 minutes when it's like did that thing need to be as long as Endgame?
Should've been 4 hours, 20 minutes.
No, it didn't. Yeah, because you're high. Yeah.
this movie is too long. I think.
Yeah,
I think
and-
Ant-Man's.
And
See, I thought
and
it
I
did a pretty
think
good clip.
because I had the same thought of like how quickly they got to the quantum realm, but I was more like, oh, thank you. I don't need all like I get it. We're here to go to the quantum realm. It seemed very like an 80s movie, right? Like
Oh.
it doesn't take very long
space.
to get
So good.
to the premise of a
Flight of
movie
the
back
Navigator.
then, right?
So really good.
It was like normally within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, and we went back in
We're
time.
done.
Yeah,
Honey, I Shrunk the
you know.
Kids.
And so I was just like, yeah, I don't need all that. This isn't a super serious. The other thing too
Oh,
is
I want maybe.
I don't.
I know. I want what
don't-
he's talking about.
I don't mind getting like this, like getting reacclimated. Like here's where we are.
You're right.
And now we're back, and now we're
Right.
going.
I guess it just seems like that's not a character trait of Scott Lang. It never has been.
The existential
now-
crisis kind of thing.
The what?
The existential crisis, like what am I doing? Or
Well, he doesn't seem to be having that.
No, not
as
at
much
all.
as people are just saying you're not doing anything, and then it. So they're like giving you this new Scott character thing by just someone telling it to you. And again, I was like, I don't know.
I would have
into-
liked to have seen him dealing with that existential
Yeah.
crisis, with him going like, well, maybe I do. I mean, we
but I mean,
see
he,
him
kind-
eventually.
he is though, right? Because
Yeah.
he's got Cassie like in his
Yeah.
ear.
He's thrown into it, sure. I just,
Yeah.
it would have been nice to have a little bit more of him, like realizing, like, oh, well, maybe.
No, it's Pym. It's
Oh,
Pym.
of him. Okay.
And then they like the end of that arc, I guess, is that he saves these people that
He
like,
saves the world again.
that we're like squishing every time we take a step.
Right,
So who
yeah.
even cares?
But I mean, he does save the world again because if Kang gets out,
That's the weird thing. It's so important. It's so important Kang doesn't get out because that would have multiverse shattering repercussions
Well,
because
and
he would go destroying all these timelines. But when he doesn't, it's like no one ever knows.
but it's okay. But that's a comic book,
Yeah.
right? Like if we're gonna say that this is a miniseries,
It's a bottle episode.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
This is a 6-issue miniseries of a Scott Lang adventure, and then at the end of the series, that's it.
Like, have they trained us in the MCU though? Like, I'm not saying. I mean, a lot of times I like bottle episodes. There was a great bottle episode of The Last of Us that I thought was wonderful, the best of the season. But has the MCU trained us? The stakes always have to be huge because something about this movie just left me going like, I mean, I was entertained, but
I think when they raise the stakes, it's been so good that you
Yeah.
want it
Yeah.
to be like
Well,
that.
and the stakes are low personally as well. The quantum realm doesn't affect Scott or Cassie or
Right.
maybe Janet a little more, but
Doesn't she come back
also-
with like weird powers in the second one? Am I remember that wrong? Didn't she come back with like where she like fixes Ghost?
oh,
Right?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I also feel like if you go into an Ant-Man movie expecting high stakes, Like maybe that's a you problem.
But
right,
in
like
that, in that first one though, like it is a heist movie. Now the
Right.
stakes aren't crazy high, but there are high stakes, right? You've got Scott trying to stay out of his jail.
within the concept of
Yes.
the film, but not
Yeah.
within the concept of the Marvel universe.
That's true.
But you know what's weird is as low as the stakes seem, and I actually really like the message because the message of this film is Cassie saying, well, even though this is this super microscopic thing that doesn't affect us, like these are still people that are worth fighting for. Like I
A
actually
person's a person, no matter how small.
See?
It's Horton
Horton
here's
hears
a
a
who.
who.
Exactly.
That's exactly it.
So I actually like that part. But the weird thing is that the stakes don't seem to be there. But they also, again, if Kang escapes, the stakes are infinite, right? Like he will destroy everything. So, and I think maybe I want an Ant-Man that seems like it has less stakes at the same time.
Right.
Like I don't
Oh,
want.
I see what you're
I
saying.
don't want Quantumania. I don't want multiverse. Whatever. I want Ant-Man doing heists
Yeah.
in the real world. I
don't need it to be a big movie. I want it. I don't want it to be a big
Yeah,
movie.
I want
right?
it to
Like,
I
be
see what
really
you're
small.
saying.
I
That's
want it to
fair.
be in San
That's fair.
Francisco.
feel
I want
like Paul Rudd got sidelined for a lot of this movie, and
Yeah.
he's the charm of these movies.
Exactly.
And
This
so
is a Michelle Pfeiffer led movie.
Yeah.
like she is the lead of this.
when Paul Rudd's here.
I thought we
you-
were going to start hearing Gangster Paradise.
I was all right with it.
Yeah.
But when Paul Rudd was on screen in this film and doing his thing, and he's very funny and very charismatic, one of the
Yeah.
most likable people, it was great. But I think it just went on to too much stuff and the Kang stuff, and it felt like it was setting up for all this different timelines and all that. And I think to me, I missed what made those other Ant-Man movies so good. And like, yeah, they're not top tier, but like they're always very solid, very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And this one, I'm just like,
I also feel like there is no turn for Scott. Because, like, Cassie's like, we got to save these people. He says, nah. And then she goes and punches him, and then he goes and punches him. He doesn't, I don't feel like he has a real, like, realization that, like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
These people are important. I got to save these people.
It does feel like his motivation. I don't think you're wrong at all. But what he's like, oh, I guess I should get involved. Is when his daughter is in trouble.
Right. So, yeah, his
That
thing
is
is the same.
So he's just like, I don't really care about
In
these
his
people.
defense, he is American.
It's totally
Like, that's-
Well, are these quantum people American? That's
No.
important for me.
right.
Because
and that-
technically, I think they would, well, space and time is different.
Liberty
Yeah.
Truth Pizza.
But see, they're not American, which is why he only cares about them
His
when
daughter.
when it affects him.
Okay.
Right.
That's
okay.
yeah.
We've said before that there are you can tell there are points in the MCU when they change tone, and Guardians is one of those points, and this feels like a Guardians light movie, right? You've got like the weird like
Well, it feels
globby
very Taika Waititi influenced because he's made everything weird. You know,
Well, I think Guardians starts.
I think Guardians starts the
James Gunn
weirdness.
starts that. Taika
Yeah,
Waititi
sure.
does go. This is,
but there's
to
a
me,
difference. Like
this
James
tone,
Gunn brought the humor, and then and there's some weird
That's
stuff.
fair.
But like
I think
Taika
there's some
Waititi,
weird stuff.
there is. But I mean, Taika Waititi, especially with the last Thor, gets really weird.
He does get really
and this
weird.
feels like, oh, now we got to do like just like they all said we got to do Guardians. Now we got to do weird Thor
but
stuff.
where Ragnarok, I think, nails that tone. It's a
It
very
does. It's a balance.
Love and Thunder goes off the rails.
Yeah.
There are moments in Love and Thunder that I think are really good.
Yeah.
But this feels like they dialed it back to Ragnarok, where it does have those emotional beats. You've also got, when everybody sees MODOK for the first time, they're like, holy, like what happened to you? And the explanation of why he looks like that
Darren?
is hilarious. Because to their credit, like they go back to the first one and they're like, and they show him getting shrunk down and his
Yeah.
head's all big. And I was like, oh man, that's kind of hilarious that they go all the way back to that first one. So I think that they go back to the tone of Ragnarok and don't ramp it up like they did in Love and Thunder. Like if that's the tone that they're going to go forward with the movies, like because Spider-Man didn't have that tone at all.
Right.
There are moments of levity, but overall that feels very different. Doctor
Yeah.
Strange did not feel like that either.
No.
It was super weird.
I like those tones. I like the Spider-Man and I like the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah. Oh no, I thought it was really good. But I think Shang-Chi is the one that I feel like is the most Marvel, where you've got the
Till
humor.
this.
That's true. This is 70s Marvel like through
Yeah.
and through. This
I
is
love
Jack,
Shang-Chi.
This is Jack Kirby, like off, a little Jim Starlin, all those guys. Yeah, I think Shang-Chi was great. But that to me had like the tone of what Marvel wanted.
Yeah, it's got
wants-
the action, it's got the humor, it's got the heart. That
got
is
all
a
of it.
great balancing act.
Yeah,
You're right.
that Shang-Chi I think is the best balancing act going forward.
So let's jump around, but basically Michelle Pfeiffer, Janet Van Dyne, since she's been rescued, is keeping a secret.
Yeah.
And her secret that we find out later, but we're going to spoil it now.
Banging Bill Murray.
Well, that is a secret. But she had met one of the kings in the quantum realm, and it come to find out it's King the Conqueror. And so after he was banished by the Council of Kings, they sent him so he could not affect any more of the timelines, and he went in the quantum realm. And so he wants her to repair his ship and his little time doohickey, the
But
MacGuffin.
he unbeknownst to her, she thinks he's just a traveler.
Sure.
But until when they fix the thing,
She touches
she
it.
touches it, and then she sees what he has done.
Yeah.
Then she's like, oh no.
And this is another problem I have, and it's a problem with comic movies in general. Kang is so overpowered. When you see what he's done to universes, and then the people we care about fight him, and he's like, pew, pew, pew. He goes and destroys planets like this.
Well, he's
I mean, it's just like,
evaporating other people.
He is.
And then he shoots Ant-Man, I guess, with a different
that's what I'm
gun.
saying.
I don't know.
Okay, make the big bads overpowered, but then give them someone that can fight them on the same level. When you make the bad guy pull his punches, we've seen him destroy whole planets. Why is he fighting people like this?
Just have him use a tool to destroy the whole planet,
Yeah,
right? Like
don't
he's
make
got,
it that
he's got this
overpowered.
weapon that he doesn't have currently.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's not like saying he's depowered. He has all his power of his suit. He just doesn't have his time travel device. So it's
I think
frustrating.
where it makes sense is the final fight, right? Like the final fight, which is Scott and Kang, but Kang's suit is messed up.
Well, yeah,
So
them
that-
punching each other makes sense, and it's just
And
ripped Jonathan Majors
and
punching
I
people.
also
yeah.
love that Paul Rudd, that Hank or that Scott
Bleeds.
Lang can't fight.
Yeah.
He's not a good
And he's
fighter.
bleeding.
Yeah,
They actually show blood
he's
in this
getting,
movie.
He's getting beat up.
I don't know if I say he's not good.
Well, that's
not
fair.
as good as Kang.
That's fair. But I mean, like, it's
doing
not
okay.
He's not a bodybuilder.
Right.
He's
the thing,
he's going
yeah.
toe to toe with this guy, and he's not
Yes.
winning.
Yeah.
Right,
He's
right, right.
surviving,
Which is believable.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it's
That
I
is true.
don't gotta win. We just gotta both lose.
We just gotta lose.
Yeah. Which is good.
That's
I mean,
a good
I
line.
like that.
It is
I do
funny
like
though.
that.
He is jacked. Jonathan Majors is jacked to the gills.
Yeah.
I have to believe that he was already training for
Creed. Yeah.
3,
Sure.
and they were just like, "Can you? All right, I guess we're going to have to refit your suit
Yeah.
because holy,
Like, we got to
cow."
cover all this up to explain why are you a bodybuilder? But anyway, it's frustrating to me that you see the destruction he can cause with that suit, and then he chooses to evaporate people when they're red shirts, and when it comes to
Sure.
our people fighting, like all the guys you're
Right.
rooting for, all our fun new characters that are leading this
Or
resistance.
then you have to come up with a plot device for why he needs them alive.
Yes.
Oh,
Right.
The amount of time he has. They're walking him down the prison hallway, and they pop out their little shrinkers
Yeah.
and shrink the guys. They do that numerous times in this movie. And then two guards are holding Janet,
Yeah.
and there's the battle going on outside, and he's like, "All right, you stay here. I'm gonna go fight these guys." Just pop her.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
I know.
It's the old James Bond thing. Like, no, I have to tell you my entire
Yeah.
plan first while you try
Well,
to get
and
away.
But he tells her the whole plan, and she doesn't do anything during that. He could still just go, "Well, all right."
And then Paul Rudd leaves his daughter with him. He's like, Cassie, it will be okay. And he leaves. And then when Paul Rudd gets him the device that he wants, he's like, nah, you guys are all dead. It's like, so he could have just killed her if he wasn't actually going to use her. You know what I mean? Like, that's the writing. That's what I'm talking about. When you say Iron Man, this feels like, Iron Man, really good writing. There's things in this movie that don't feel like good writing. It's funny and weird. I like this
Yeah.
guy's Rick and Morty type writing, but as a whole story and explaining the motivations of the characters, and it just...
I think Kang's motivation, we talk about how Thanos is like, no, I can kind of see it. Like,
Right.
it's not like he's not, I don't want to take over everything. I just want
you don't
life
want
to flourish.
You don't want your villains to be too mustache twirling
Yeah.
these
Right.
days, right? Like you want to have some sort of realistic motivation. When that's what always was kind of cool about X-Men, right? Like
Yeah.
with the idea of like one's Martin Luther King, one's Malcolm X, right?
Right.
Like you understood where they were coming from. And Kang is very, I just like to kill things
I'm just
because I
blowing it
kill
up.
things.
I don't know, though, because I thought Kang was kind of like Thanos for the fact that he's actually destroying the timelines that if they were to combine and get out of whack, it would destroy everything. Like he
I
is
thought he was
controlling
I thought he
things.
was destroying timelines that could defeat him.
There's
don't
the
think
word
so.
incursion that I am
Yeah.
unsure of what that means.
I think he's
but-
destroying incursions, which are bad because they said that if those they say it again, you have to watch Loki for this.
Yeah,
is the
that's
problem.
true.
So in the TVA, which Kang created, the
the Kang in the show.
The Kang in the show, who's
Yeah.
like the good one, like of all the ones, he created the TVA to control incursions. Because if the timelines get all out of whack and the variants do things that are bad for the timeline, they combine and the whole multiverse
So
implodes.
this is a plot from the comics where I wish I could remember the name of the mini series, but it's the new Avengers are having to deal with like incursions from other worlds, and like the Avengers are blowing up worlds,
Right.
Trying to keep them from like, because if they collide, if
Yes.
this Earth from the 515 collides with the
Right.
616, all of us are
And
dead.
that's what Kang
that's
is
what
doing.
I took it
so
to be,
Kang
what-
is
yeah.
actually but he goes it's a murderous, destructive thing, but he is doing it to control the timelines, and the timelines are out of whack, I think, because the other Kangs are, like you said, they're playing around with it like kids, right? They're like
Right.
out of control kids. So he is actually doing it for a Thanos type reason, but he's destructive, and that's bad. What they really need to do is shut down the other Kangs.
Good luck.
Council of the Kangs, not this
there's
Kang.
there's a Council of Richards too, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a Council of Reeds
Yeah.
that exists as well.
Isn't that what was in Doctor Strange? Wasn't that kinda
No, that was
supposed to
the
be-
Illuminati.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, which is
Not
not
be stupid, Kevin. It's the Illuminati.
Well, I wasn't going to say their name, but okay. Good luck. Hope to see you next week.
Yeah, goodbye. They get separated in the quantum realm. And Janet, again, this is I don't know why they say and Michelle Pfeiffer. She should be on the.
Well, and it is like the second highest build.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I thought they said and Michael Douglas though. He
did
got the
they?
last. He got the and, yeah.
Well, either or.
But that's a very high.
this is her
prominent billing.
movie. Like there are other characters that are in it, but this is mostly about her.
I'm telling you, she's the Wasp. She's the one in the title because
Yeah,
I
right,
mean,
'cause the other-
Evangeline Lilly has 10 minutes of screen time. You think?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like she's.
I feel like she's got some sort of contractual thing that's like my character's title name has to be in the title of the film, and then they were like, okay, but
We got another
It's
one.
your-
we've got
it's your
another
mom.
Wasp, and we're gonna make it her movie, but your character's title's in there, but like you can see it through either prism.
It's such a shame that has gone the way that it has gone, because that animosity between her and Scott in the first one, I think, is amazing.
Talk about sidelined. And you think Ant-Man's sidelined? She literally is sidelined until the very end, where she has to save Scott.
Yeah, I think she put
Like,
herself in
yeah.
that position.
But I mean, she's not in the movie for hardly anything. But you're right; they're split up. Janet's like, "Hey, if anyone knows where to find Scott and Cassie,
Bill Murray.
it's Bill Murray."
Which I thought was a great. It is funny. I was in the theater and
Well, he's canceled too now, so you can't.
Oh, is he really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dang.
Very canceled.
Oh.
And now all these stories are coming about, even from back in Quick Change, of how he's
Yeah.
making
Oh.
people cry and terrible.
Do you think he was in the movie more?
I wonder, because he does have a quick part.
He doesn't come back, and I guess you could just assume that little
That
monster
monster ate
killed
him,
him,
yeah.
but it didn't
I-
on screen. Like, he's just getting waved
I
around.
think he would have been the second post, like the funny tag.
Right.
But I think they cut that out and replaced it with something that,
Yeah.
Did he get Me Too'd, or just that he's just?
well, it's kind of
He's an
like
asshole.
that, but both.
Oh.
Well, because the last thing he got fired from was a Me Too thing.
Did he
Oh.
get Me Too'd? He's not the victim here.
Did he? Yeah. But no, he got fired from his.
Who's the monster in this film, Joe?
As soon as you said that, that's exactly where I went.
Did they
with
get
it.
him? Did they?
He was on an Aziz Ansari movie.
It was
he
Aziz's
was
directorial debut,
It was his
yeah.
directorial debut, and the
Gee,
whole
that's
thing
a-
got shut
poor
down.
guy.
God,
That's a-
Aziz, for real.
Yeah,
But
like
for Aziz,
also
yeah.
you, bud. Like, come on.
But then all these stories came out, and like Gina Davis,
Gina
right?
Davis,
Somehow.
Oh,
yeah, how mean he was to her on the set of Quick Change, and
And I think something did Richard Dreyfuss say something about
I mean, it's Richard Dreyfuss.
I don't know, but anyway, so he's in trouble now too. I'm surprised. I'm like, dang, they left him like because they didn't
I mean,
really
it's-
need him in there.
I don't know. It is kind of a pivotal.
I-
Not a
they
pivotal
could've-
part, but
they
I
could have
guess-
refilmed one other person going, whatever, blah blah blah.
I mean,
Like,
is
they
he
didn't need
on
him.
screen with anyone?
I don't think
You know what I
so.
mean? Like, they
Right.
could have just reshot that.
could have Kevin Spacey'd it.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what I'm saying. Like it was.
Oh, no. What?
Oh wait a minute. Yeah. No, you meant they could have Christopher Plummered it.
Oh, yes.
That's what you meant.
Yeah, he didn't Kevin Spacey anything.
Anyway, so they go to him because she's like, he would know where they are, and then he's like, I'm a bad guy now.
Well, it's like, yeah, I'm turning you over.
Yeah.
Like this guy runs this whole little world, and we don't want to cross the
Yeah.
boss. So here you go.
Yeah.
And
so
then-
there's a fight, some laser blaster. How much does this movie want to be Star Wars?
Oh,
okay, this is when
cantina.
It's the cantina,
it's-
but like,
absolutely.
what if the whole
World
planet
was the
a
cantina. I mean,
Yes.
this movie is so.
It is.
faux
I was
Star
thinking
Wars.
as I'm sitting there, I was like, man, we have come full circle. Where like we've got a heist movie, we've got Swingers, we've got The Rocketeer.
Yeah.
What else do we own? Star Wars?
Yeah.
Let's just do a Star Wars movie. Like,
I mean,
you could just do a Star Wars
Right.
movie.
It felt a little odd how much
It was
trying
this
to-
whole thing in the bar. It was like, oh boy.
So they steal a ship. I did think it was very funny when Michael Douglas
like,
how do you
make
fly this thing?
Just put your hands in it.
Just put your hands in all the way. It's like two gooey globs that are just sticking out.
I mean, they're like two anuses.
Yeah, and then he gets used to it, and he's like, "I'll drive."
I got it.
I wanted to see him pull him out.
I did
Oh, I
too.
know.
Like, y'all
Gross.
goofy.
But that stuff's funny. Like I like the weirdness. And
that
that's very much
is
a Rick and
Guardians
Morty.
of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but I
That's
mean, very Rick and Morty.
Also
It's-
very Rick and Morty.
yeah. So that stuff's fun. But anyway, they all have to catch up to one each other. Meanwhile,
Who,
Scott,
real quick, who was the voice of the globby guy?
the Russian robber from the other Ant-Man movies,
That
who's not in
okay.
this. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was Michael Cera.
And where's
at first.
Luis?
What a
How do
What
you
a-
not have him in this movie?
Yeah.
At least in a post-credit scene.
Something.
He should have been doing his funny thing at post-credit.
Well,
or
like,
whatever.
here's a way to inject humor in the movie. Suck him into the quantum realm. Because he's going to have his mind blown and have all sorts of funny things to say about it.
Right. I
Let
mean-
him be the everyman. Because really, for the most part, well, not for the most part, everyone who gets pulled into the quantum realm was like, yeah, no, it's crazy here.
Very serious
we're all
science.
superheroes.
We're in
Yeah.
the quantum. Let's act like you've been
He
here
would have
before.
been great fish out of water, just
Yeah.
spouting off
the
funny.
the
yeah.
globby guy is the MVP for me. That little creature was.
How many
hilarious.
holes do you have? Do you love that? Were you counting along? And then Cheaty, I just call him Cheaty. What's his
William
name?
Jackson Harper.
William Jackson. He's like, what does he say? Seven.
Seven. He's
He
like
has
seven.
seven.
He's like,
Yeah, he's like,
that's right.
Yeah,
No, that's
that was
right.
great.
Yeah.
I love it. And then at the end, when he gets shot, I turn to Katy and you go, "He has holes now."
Yeah,
And-
right,
and-
right. It was a good line.
and he's like,
And
"I
did
have
you-
holes."
Did you know he could do that? No, I had no idea. Yeah, and that's kind of like they win. That's kind of
Well, so
it, is
but Cassie is captured, and so Kang says, "You have to go get me my time travel MacGuffin doohickey, or else I'm going to kill her." Okay, so he goes off on his adventure, tracks it down.
brings it back.
But when he goes in, so basically what happened is Michelle Pfeiffer, in order to stop Kang from getting it, puts the big growy dot on it, and it becomes this huge. I don't know, this huge.
It's like
turny,
it's like a throne.
I don't know how to
Like
describe
a-
it. It's just this huge floating, glowy whatever. And so he has to go through it. But what it does, because that thing allows time travel and all that, it creates infinite possibilities.
Right.
So every decision you make branches off into, one of like two things, and those turn into four, and so on, and so on.
and you become a bunch of ants.
Like Calgon.
Exactly.
I told two friends, and they told two
That's
friends.
right.
exactly.
That's exactly
and
it.
so on, and so on. He got the reference, at least. And so,
Well, it is an old commercial.
oh, I know, but Wayne's World when he's
Oh, I forgot
yeah.
they used
When
it in
he's
Wayne's World, but
making fun of it,
because
yeah.
it wasn't as old then. But that's from like the 70s.
Yeah. So he goes in there, and this is, I think, one of the coolest scenes in the movie. He starts he keeps splitting off.
Yeah.
And the one that's the Baskin Robbins guy
What
with
am
the
I
wrong
doing
name
here?
tag and everything. But
Why is there only one Baskin Robbins guy?
That's
You would
awesome.
think
because there's
there'd be-
only one possibility to where he doesn't get fired from Baskin Robbins. Like it's just this one random. So he
this
starts.
feels like Edgar Wright. This feels like an Edgar
see it,
Wright
yeah.
gag for
Yeah.
sure.
But so he splits off, and you see literally tens of thousands of Scotts, and they're all running around. It's chaos, pure chaos. But our Scott has to get to the thing and shrink it, and he throws a shrinky circle at it. It doesn't. It bounces off.
I believe
gets
they're
burnt
called
up.
Shrinky Dinks.
Shrinky Dink, right?
Yes.
So he put it in the big oven. They're all his friends from the Avengers. So he throws it and it gets burnt. And so they all work together because he's like, I got to get to Cassie, and all the other ones kind of stop. They're like, Cassie. So it shows you no matter what probabilities there are,
Right.
he's always going to care about Cassie. So they all like pull him up on a pillar. He gets close.
It's
to
like
the
a bunch of
thing.
ants.
Yeah, basically they do work like ants.
Yeah.
But he's about to fall off the thing, and then here comes Evangeline
Eventually,
Lilly Wasp.
for her 3 minutes of screen time.
Right, and she comes and saves him, and they throw a whole bunch of shrinky dinks at it, and it ends up,
Yeah, and the final set piece is Kang is fighting off the
Rebellion.
I guess. Yeah.
who he can't just go and mow them all down. For some reason, he doesn't fight like that against our
Nope.
rebellion. Does it for every other planet.
Nope.
Whole timelines.
There are scenes though, like Matt said, where he's just like pew
Yeah.
and just
Oh.
disintegrating.
Gone.
Yeah.
Nathan, no problem.
But sometimes he hits people and they just go, oh,
Yeah.
ouchie. I just can't stand that in movies.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
The one thing we didn't talk about is that Hank has developed these super ants, basically.
This was great. This was a great callback to the very beginning of the movie. Basically, the first 10 minutes when they all go in there in his ant farm, where Hank shows that his ants have actually developed technology all on their own, and they've got all these glowing lights and tech inside their ant farm.
Chekhov's ants.
Yeah,
That's
it gets
exactly
sucked
right.
in, and you never hear from them again. You just see them getting sucked in.
Well, they're here.
But in the time dilation thing, when they traveled, they actually lived thousands of years developing their technology and their society. And so Hank, throughout the movie, in his hearing aid, starts to hear all these noises, and he just thought it was broken or whatever. It was actually the ants trying to communicate with him. And so he runs into them and finds his whole army of
And of course,
advanced tech.
you don't really get, you get Hank to be a version of Ant-Man one last time, is the way I took it, where he's controlling all of the ants and they're kind of.
It was a cool, triumphant scene. I liked it when he's standing there and they're all going past him. It was cool.
It was cool.
That was my other probably favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
It was a good callback. It was a good way to save the day, to have someone, that you forgot about come in and clean up.
Now, I'm not a movie peer.
Okay.
Try to not do it.
Oh, pee. Okay.
Piss. What
We're
do you
all,
want?
we're all movie peers.
You said peer, and I was like P-E-E-R?
Yeah, I wasn't
Like-
I'm
movie-
not a film urinator.
there you go.
Oh, I am.
I know.
I come out soaked sometimes.
I so I usually go before the film. Went in, preview start, movie starts. I go, I didn't pee before the movie.
Oh, no.
I'm drinking a coffee. I snuck it in.
Oh.
I get to this point, and I'm thinking the whole time, right? You're having kind of a smaller scene. I go, I could
Which
go
is the
now.
point, yeah.
But I got it. I never go during a movie.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Now, when I saw the movie,
Well, I'm assuming they're
Did you celebrate a birthday between?
in close proximity.
Yeah.
I'm 38, but I'm a couple days older now.
Sure. So this is how it starts.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
only
man.
it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Also, it's not going to get better.
Oh,
I'm 40 and I don't do it.
the better.
so-
just-
Oh, it'll happen. It's like one day a switch flips and like you just have to pee for no reason. There's no correlation between the amount of beverages I consume and how much I pee.
With me,
Now,
it's caffeine.
now-
If I drink caffeine, it just.
now I drink a lot of soda, but there are times when I don't drink a lot of soda and I still pee like crazy. I'm just like, where is it coming from?
Where is
it
it?
defies the laws of physics.
So
Okay.
these ants bust through the wall, and I'm busting through the wall, right? And I'm like, I can't. It sucks so bad, but I have to.
Right.
I go, I pee, I come back, Kang's on the ground, and I go, okay, sure, yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah, it's fine.
Well,
and
that tracks.
Can
feel
I
like-
Can I tell him the story of me, the most famous
Oh.
incident of
Oh,
me
sure.
peeing
I
during
gotta
a movie?
tell you, not only during a movie, during a Marvel movie.
During a Marvel
Oh,
movie.
right on.
So this is how this can affect you. This can really damage your perception of the film. I peed during Spider-Man 3.
the Sam Raimi.
Right.
Okay.
And so I just so happened to pee during the infamous, what is now infamous, dance scene.
Oh,
And so
that's a bummer.
I came out of the movie going like, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't great, but it's like it's not awful. Where if you see it with the dance scene,
It's a very different movie.
it's a turd of a movie. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because it's already borderline not good, and
Yeah.
then they give you that, and you're like,
Right.
F
What?
this movie.
I like it.
I didn't get
Oh, man.
the F this movie scene because
Okay.
I had to sneak out to pee. So it can really bite you in the ass.
And so but kind of when I was saying I think this movie is like too long. It's got a lot of things like they're setting up these like machinations, this clockwork, like we have to find the guy. And now, all right, man, next 40 minutes is finding the guy. And then they say, you got to do the thing. And it's kind of like I get to the point where it's like when the fighting starts, it's like now I have to watch 20 minutes of nothing really. I mean, it's fun, it's cool, but at the same time, it's just like
I know
this
the
isn't
fighting
gonna-
is just, it's so bland. We've seen it all before. You've got to do something different. When you give a fight sequence, it's got to be like a Russo-esque, awesome, innovative fight sequence. Or else it's like, pew pew blasters. It's all
and
the
there's
same
no
thing.
stakes until these like when Flashlight Head got killed, I guess was kind of
Yeah.
like a
Yeah, that was. I mean,
I knew that guy, or then you get to the end where Kang and it's just Kang and Scott, and you're like, okay, now we have some stakes. But like, what? I mean, 15 minutes maybe of really, this doesn't like matter.
Of stormtroopers getting killed.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just kind of the whole.
Where you
movie.
just know the guys that your guys are not.
There's
gonna
there's no moment where you're just like, Scott may not make it.
Except for that scene at the end, I thought they were going to get trapped there.
And that's right.
And that's cool because you're like, oh my god, what are the implications of them being
But
trapped
they've
there?
already trapped him there once, right? They've already ended a movie like that once with them trapped there.
Right.
So like to do it
sure,
again
sure.
just seems kind of lame. Like we've seen that.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you thought for a second it might happen, and now that this device is like exploding, there may be some reason why they're going to go to a different multiverse and have to explore this other. Yeah. So it just for a second, but then they had mentioned something earlier in the movie where I think Cassie had said something like, "Oh well, if I had so and so, I could have just fixed
built
this."
the reason we're here to begin with is she built this little like signal device that was like basically like it was basically sonar to the quantum realm, and it was bouncing a signal back and forth, and that's how Darren Cross sees them and gets them sucked into the phantom zone, into the quantum realm.
It's never too late to not be a.
That's a
that
good
was
line.
A great.
I like that.
Darren's like, I'm such a.
Oh, I actually did want to ask. He doesn't come back after that?
No, he dies like right there.
He's dead?
Well, MODOK. Well, I mean, it's MODOK, right?
Well, I thought for sure I must have missed the part where he comes in to like save for a second.
Oh no, he does come back and save. He comes back like
He saves the day after he's in the new Avenger.
Yeah.
I was peeing.
Okay. So Cassie they have that. She's like, it's never too late to not be
kill Cassie, and Cassie's
Cassie
like, why
wins.
are you such a and then he's like, I'm always going to be never too late to not be.
So MODOK does come back. He
destroys the shield.
He breaks through Kang's
Kang.
shield.
Okay.
And then Kang like blasts him
and kills him. But his dying words are like, I'm so glad I could become an Avenger. And Scott's like, yeah, buddy,
you're part of the team.
Yeah.
And he's like coughing up like this.
It's very funny.
Goop.
Yeah. So he dies thinking he's an Avenger.
I missed the dancing scene.
No, but MODOK will be back. You just
somehow.
Is that what it says at the end of the movie?
MODOK will return. Yeah, there's the knockdown drag out fight between a depowered Kang and Scott. Scott kind of pushes him into
in this movie they do it a few times where they throw the shrinky dinks and the growy dinks together, which creates like obviously a push and pull and explosion.
This one I think that he pushes Kang like into the globe thing.
I think he throws a bunch of things
and
on there.
I think he
did throw things.
He throws
and he did push.
He pushes, but they throw all of those things on
We're
there.
all right.
Yeah. And so it basically explodes.
And sucks him into it and explodes.
Yeah, and then he gets, but Kang actually gets sucked into it, and I think he dies, which leads me to the second post-credit scene. Remember, when one Kang dies, another is born?
You think the Kang and the Loki scene is...
And it's all, time is just, it's all out of, like, it doesn't work the same. So I believe his reincarnation went back into the olden days, and that is the Kang that's going to create the TVA and be the one that they kill in the Loki series. I think that's him.
Oh.
I think that's the good Kang.
I do not think that.
Oh.
I hear you.
Yeah,
but
that's
the way
my theory.
But the way that Loki looks at him is like, we gotta stop this.
I think they're trying to find the good one that bad Loki killed. I think they need him because he's the good Kang. I think they're going to get him back.
Is there a bad Loki?
The girl is. I mean, no. Do you watch the show?
Yeah.
She was trying to like do bad stuff the whole show.
Oh, I guess that's
female
fair.
Loki.
Yeah. Okay.
She's spoilers for Loki. She's the cloaked, mysterious villain. Is the female Loki?
Right.
But she kills the first of his name. Whatever the Kang name is for that.
The
guy.
first time we see Jonathan Majors,
he's the bad guy, but he's not really because he's like, hey, this is what I'm doing again, trying to stop timelines from imploding, and she ends up killing him. But I think they went back in time to see the guy that started the TVA, and since time works differently, they're going back to find him when he starts maybe stop him from starting the TVA and causing mess and getting a handle on the Kangs.
We will find out in Loki season 2.
There you go. This is my theory, so I'm putting it out there.
Okay. It's recorded. It's logged away. So the first post-credit sequence is the Council of Kangs, and they're basically like, bad stuff is happening. Yeah. And it is kind of crazy.
The King Tut one.
It's there's 3 of them.
Some kind of cyborg one.
And then there's another one. But there, and these are all different versions. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But there is like when they pan back and all of the Kangs are there. I was like, oh, that's right out of that Fantastic Four comic. Like that's
It's
exactly
like
what that is.
thousands of them lined up. And
Yeah,
they all
in a
look,
coliseum, basically.
Real party boys up
Yeah.
there in the stands.
Yeah, right,
They're
right.
excited.
And then the second one that we talked about is Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston as Loki and the other guy.
Yeah.
And we see an old Jonathan Majors.
He looks like
Old-timey-
Tesla. You know,
he
it
does
looks
look
like out of the
Tesla, yeah.
Prestige, right?
Like old timey.
Old timey Tesla.
You said old, like he was.
oh no, old timey.
old-timey.
Yeah, old
But
timey.
old-timey.
It's like the
Old-timey.
Prestige, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
whenever they're on stage doing their magic stuff, he's right out of that
Yes.
kind of time.
Yeah, and that's how this one ends. Like, I guess Scott has another existential crisis where he's like, "We did beat him, right?" Like,
That was good.
We did. Yeah,
Where he's like, yeah, we
did.
beat the bad guy. And he's like, but wait a minute. He did say that he was the only one that could escape to set the timelines, and now I killed him. I love that to think like we just doomed the whole
right, and which is where we're
multiverse.
going
Which-
forward.
yeah.
What about this, Tom?
Okay.
What if that happened at like 3/4 through the movie? Scott's out. He's going, oh, did we though? And then Kang, I'm here.
Oh, that's
And we-
actually not bad.
We kind of get another, maybe a fight. Whatever, you know.
But we kind of
Just
did that in
something to
Doctor
tie it.
Strange when he gets the eye.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he kinda-
But I'm talking like the climax of the film is that.
It's not a fight. It's actually like a
Or
interior fight in
a
your
fight
mind.
in our world, you know.
Yeah, right.
Something.
I probably would just peed during it.
Sure. Hey, same, man.
Yeah.
So what have we got? We've got
Piss Brothers over here.
Piss Bros. That's a T-shirt.
Oh, that's something.
Or a weird
Or a
section of
site, yeah.
weird section of Red Tube.
Also true. So we've got the Marvels,
Which
right?
got delayed until November, I think.
Yeah.
Is that say delayed? Is that the right word? Would
Well,
you
it's only
say
2
pushed?
months.
It's pushed.
Oh,
it's pushed.
okay.
pushed,
I'm sorry.
Pushed.
Yeah. Okay.
Pushed. And then what? That's not it. That can't be. There can't be 2 Marvel movies in 2023. Can
No,
there?
there's something.
There's some.
Guardians
Oh,
of the
Guardians 3.
Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians 3.
Guardians is summer, so it's coming out
Yeah,
soon.
so then you'll have the Marvels after that, and then I think we're done for the year with. Well, I think we'll have a TV show, Loki.
Is that this? I don't keep track of the TV show.
Yeah,
releases.
but that's kind of where we are. It's kind of funny to think, like we had such a crazy run of Marvel movies for so long, and now they're like, all right, we're just gonna pump those brakes a little bit. And
yeah, I think they kind of.
oh wait, when are the Thunderbolts?
Oh, I don't know. I don't. Is that this year? I don't.
I don't know.
What's the Christmas one? I mean, I know Marvel's is November now, but there's got to be a big Christmas one, I would think.
I don't know.
I think it might just. I don't know.
mean, if they
they
put-
wouldn't put one out in November.
I
and then
know that's what
December,
seems
right?
weird, but you just feel like there. Would
I think
be
they either do a Christmas or a Thanksgiving
Yeah,
one. So.
true. Okay.
That's only so we got like 2 left
For
the
this
year.
year.
For the year,
I don't know what finishes out the phase. I've lost track of what
they haven't said.
they.
I mean,
haven't?
no.
Oh, they have to have said.
No. Well, I mean, they've got about.
They've
They've
got all
the-
timelined. I mean, it's all charted out, right?
Yeah, but
They've
you've got the
phase-
Fantastic Four is out there in 2024. You've got there's a bunch of stuff in 2024 as well,
Gotcha.
like a Blade somewhere that's I guess up and running.
Sure.
But I don't know how the hell you're going to weave that thing into the Marvel universe, or at least in this Kang storyline. I don't know how that's going to work.
I mean, he's part of the. They set it up in the Eternals, so it's part of something.
I guess that's true. They do set him up in the Eternals.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you can. I mean,
You can
just
plug.
because
You can plug him in wherever
it's
you
a big
want.
world, man.
Yeah.
You know,
You're in.
right now somewhere there's a crazy spy doing crazy spy stuff to
Right.
find a suitcase nuke or something.
Right.
But like, I'm still gonna go to work tomorrow.
You've got.
You
That's
know?
fair. That's fair. You've got
So-
Spider-Man fighting over in New York.
Yeah, not
While-
everything.
while
has-
Ant-Man
That's the
is
whole
going on.
Superman thing, right? It's like he doesn't just live in Metropolis. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole
Well,
world
yes,
of people
yes, Metropolis
that he
is
can
his home
be
base.
saving.
Well, do you? Interesting. Do you think that that's part of their problem? Is that everything is tied? Like maybe like Ant-Man feels kind of inconsequential because it is tied into this Kang thing. Whereas if you had a Blade that was sort of like it's in the same world, but Kang ain't showing up
Yeah.
at the end, would it be more fun to watch that?
Oh, I see what you're
Because
saying.
everybody, I mean, like people criticism of these movies to be like everybody's like wants it to tie in more, it didn't tie in enough, but they're like explicitly saying this is part of the Kang story.
This is the beginning of that story.
So I want something of that if
Yeah.
this is part of it, and like if they had something that was this is. Blade doesn't mess with that stuff. He fights vampires.
Yeah.
Would I go into it a little more I don't know if open-minded is the word, but just like, cool, I'll just watch this story. This
it's like it's a double-edged sword. It really is. Where it's like, yeah, it's cool they all tie in.
Double-edged blade.
Hey,
There it is. It's cool that they tie in, and it was really cool. I think with the first Avengers things and but now it feels so much like it has to all tie in.
It feels obligatory.
Yeah, and I kind of want to just have this movie that stands on its own, and then later you're like,
or
that happened.
Even
you know?
Give me. I don't need Spider-Man to interact with Sam Wilson. I don't. But if Peter Parker happens to need Matt Murdock as a lawyer, that's
right.
different.
I like when they do stuff like that.
Yes.
Where it's
or Jen Walters, like if they
or when Ray Park shows up because the FBI's there.
Yeah.
Or like that.
Oh yeah, which I thought was a really
Randall Park. Sorry,
Ray Park was Darth Maul.
I was hoping we would get.
He's
more
canceled too.
Oh no way! Dang.
More of the Ragnarok. Like this is a Thor Hulk movie.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
I thought that would have been nice to keep doing.
That is
and
cool. I like
know,
when they team up
team
two
up
of them.
movies.
like Hulk
Yeah.
is. That's mainly because Hulk can't have his own solo movies,
right.
Yeah, Hulk cannot. A
universal.
Disney movie. Like
Right.
it can't be an MCU movie.
But yeah, it'd be
No,
cool.
no,
if-
Hulk can't have his own movie. He can be in other MCU.
That's what I'm
movies,
saying.
yeah.
Is like Disney and the MCU cannot do a solo
right
Hulk movie
because Universal owns the rights, but MCU has in the contract where they can use him as a character.
until Disney's like, by the way,
Universal
we're buying
you're with
Universal.
us.
but I would. I like the team up thing, and that they don't
Give me
seem
a
to do
Spider-Man
that.
Daredevil movie.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I guess they figured that we had a Wasp and another Wasp and another Ant-Man, and
Did you hear?
Yeah, but that's not a team up that you care about.
No, I know, but
You
I think
know.
maybe they didn't want.
I also think that would be smart because it's also a way to level up a character, right?
For sure.
Like take a more tertiary character and team them up with Spider-Man, and now you kind of sneak them into people's
Right.
consciousness,
Yeah.
and then if it works, now
Did
you
you hear
can
the
do
theory
a
of
movie.
why it's called Daredevil Born Again? Is that he got blipped? Like Matt Murdock got blipped and the Kingpin didn't. And the Kingpin has had 5 years to take over Hell's Kitchen in New York again. And now Matt Murdock, without any interference from Matt Murdock, and now Matt Murdock is back and he's going to have to fight off the Kingpin. Because all those characters are coming back. Like it's the same actors, same characters, same everything
That's
for
cool.
the TV show. And I
good
was like,
because
yeah,
that's the best TV show.
that was
so-
the best. Just don't bring in Iron Fist.
It's just weird that we've seen Matt Murdock a couple times now, and there's been no reference to him being blipped.
But we haven't had any
Significant conversations.
It's
like
him talking to Peter. It's him talking to Jen. Like there hasn't
Yeah.
been, and he's wearing that wackadoo suit in She-Hulk, which I thought was great. Like I was like, oh, the yellow suit, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
But yeah, I
You wanted him to Peter to be like, "How'd you do that? I'm a good lawyer." And I got blipped for 5 years. It was crazy.
I've been wanting to tell someone.
the Kingpin. You know the Kingpin, right? Like he took over. That's Spider-Man 4 right there. Spider-Man versus
There
the
you go.
Kingpin
Awesome.
in the black suit.
Well, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table, and everyone can say where to find
This
us.
is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21.
This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin R. Brackett.
And Matt, where can they find you and your wares?
Well, the new Fast and Furious trailer just dropped, and I'm gonna
You're in
say
that?
it. I'm gonna say it right now. I'll be on that episode. Real spoilers. I'm calling it now.
Do you have any predictions? Like, there's a bad guy in it. I think Jason Momoa plays a bad guy.
Check this out.
What do you think?
This is bonkers. This is crazy.
Put it out there.
Vin is unhurt throughout the whole film.
Okay.
Maybe knocked out for a short period, but no marks on his body or clothing.
The white shirt.
So white,
Okay.
glistening.
Please.
And at the end, it's nuts. Jason Momoa's not actually like that bad, okay? And they kind of end up seeing eye to eye, and they're all friends.
What more than friends?
Would
Do
you
think
say
they
they're
could be-
family?
They're lovers.
Oh, that really
What a
went.
twist.
And then in the next one, Jason Momoa.
You're thinking of Fast and Bi Curious.
Yeah, that's what. Oh, right. Sorry.
It's Fast 10.
And then in the next one, like Jason Momoa's like their buddy, like he's
Oh my
family.
gosh.
He's in there fighting with them.
So I didn't see the last one, and I knew that John Cena was the bad guy, and I saw
And
the
then you
trailer
did-
for this, and I was like, is he part of this
I didn't.
team?
The
Are you
trailer
kidding
came on,
me?
and I was like, I don't really care if I ignore it or not. And then John Cena's like, "What do you need, Ben or Dom?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, yeah."
No,
he's,
God, if that was the line, that'd be my favorite movie.
What do you need, Ben?
I mean, Dom. Oh, that'd be
Just
good.
leave
I'm
it in.
calling
Just
it now
leave
that
it
Brie
in.
Larson is Paul Walker's sister.
Like not Mia, but another sister that they never.
She
told
wouldn't,
me.
Vin-
she wouldn't be
that-
Mia.
that's
Mia
Diesel's
is Vin Diesel's
sister.
sister.
Oh, that's right. That's his wife. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
God,
His sister. Okay.
I remember nothing
Brie
about
Larson
any of these
will
movies
be
I've ever
We'll
seen.
do a
Paul Walker's
rewatch.
sister.
Blonde hair.
I won't.
Yeah. Gotta
We'll
be.
do a yes, you will.
No, I won't.
Yeah.
All 9 of them.
I haven't even seen the first
Together.
4.
Together.
oh
Tom,
man,
me
those are
and
the
you.
good ones.
I came in on
good ones.
I came in on 5
For the show.
for the show, only
Oh
because
my
of the
God.
show.
I cannot
Do you know in the
imagine-
first one the plot revolves around them stealing DVD,
DVD players,
players?
I know that.
It's Point
That's
Break.
where it went from. They now save the world like top secret agents.
The first Fast and Furious is Point
Is
Break.
Point Break.
Truly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, and you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online, facebook.com/Real Spoiler. So anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Graham is trapped when a tunnel collapses.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already